Hello, and welcome to my Fire Emblem 9 Path of Radiance hard mode 100% gross low turn count playthrough. I'm your host Typhoon Carter, and today we have two chapters for you. The first of these chapters is Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is the first kill boss map we have. You might notice that Oscar, Boyd, and Riss are not with us today, but we do have two new units joining us, at least for now. The first of these units is Shinon, who is a pre-promoted sniper whose bases are actually not that good. But Shinon has just good enough stats where he can either choose to one-round enemies with the steel bow or weaken them with an iron bow to set up kills. However, one thing to note is that unlike the Japanese version, snipers have a plus 15 crit bonus, so this can sometimes screw things up if you want him to set up a kill. And Shinon also has this skill called Provoke, where he can cause enemies to attack him over other units instead. This certainly has some uses, especially in the early game, for like AI manipulation, and we will see it in action soon. What the game also doesn't tell you is that Shinon's powers are directly tied into how unracist he is, but because he is a known racist who actually also hates furries, he's not that good as a result, which is why his base stats look kinda underwhelming. The other unit we have with us is Gatry, who is your prototypical armor knight. He comes in at a fairly high base level, but his bases are okay. He has really good defense, and his speed is like not that good, but given Path of Radiance has really bad enemy quality, he can actually double some enemies at times. Now, we also have this green unit, Marcia, who you notice was getting attacked. There was actually a small chance that Marcia could have died if she got really unlucky, and by unlucky I mean literally every enemy landing every possible hit. Now, which seems like it would be very likely, but the enemies here have really bad hit rates, even with weapon triangle advantage. So Marcia's chances of survival is actually not too bad. Titania kills this hand axe fighter, who actually drops the hand axe he's holding, and it's going to be the only hand axe we have at least until chapter 8, which is when we first get the armory available to us. And Shinon here, he's going to put Provoke to use, and we're going to see it in action as he causes the bandits to attack him instead of Marcia, which allows her to survive. And Ike is also heading towards Marcia because Ike actually has to go talk to her, since it's one of the requirements that you need in order to recruit her for later on. Gatry here, we kinda had staying around the lower end of the map just so he can grab elixir from this village. And you might notice that he can actually double some of these enemies, because that's just how bad enemies on Path of Radiance hard mode is, as they're just so slow. And some of them even get weighed down due to how the attack speed formula works, so it's possible for some of them to actually have like 1 or even 0 speed. Now on this turn, you might notice that Shinon's getting blocked off, but that's okay because Shinon can actually one-round some of these enemies. And even if he couldn't cleanly one-round them, there is still the small chance that could have crit thanks to the sniper crit bonus. And I almost make an input error here, but we talked to Marcia, and we fulfilled one of the requirements needed to recruit her, as she will leave this map. And Gatry here, he's just gonna visit this village, grab the elixir. Havletti, the boss here, actually gets 2-round KO'd by a hand axe, and Titania doesn't quite have the stats needed to actually kill him. But the hand axe durability doesn't actually matter too much here, at least for now, as that crit was not needed. But that is chapter 3 cleared in 3 turns. Let's move on to chapter 4. Chapter 4, we get Riss back, and we also get a new unit in Soren, who is our very first mage. Now Soren, for some reason, has the same amount of movement type or rather the same amount of move as armor knights, which is a really bad thing about mages in Path of Radiance, which can make them rather slow. But the good thing with Soren is that he's light enough where you can at least shove him around to make up for it. Now this is another kill boss map, and we have to kill Maijin, but we have to draw him over, and to do that we get Titania and Shinon. Shinon puts his provoke to use once more so that we can draw some attention away. And I might as well use this really long enemy phase to talk about a bit more about magic in Tellius, or rather in Path of Radiance. The one thing about magic tomes in Tellius is the fact that they're very expensive to forge, which we will find out much later on when we get access to the forge. But there's also a fact that the tomes also just don't have a whole lot of might behind them. And even though like thunder, wind, and fire magic, which is the free magic types, at least that makes up the trinity of magic in Path of Radiance, have a fairly niche uses where they can do effective damage against certain types of enemies. The only problem with that is that in Path of Radiance, effective damage multiplier is ×2 instead of ×3, so it's kind of like FE7 in that regard, which makes it kind of bad, because for example a wind tome dealing effective damage to like a flyer will only add like a whopping 1 might, or if it's like 2 might, then it'll just do like 4 now. Like, wow, great job. But anyways, on this enemy phase, Maijin's is tied in with like a squad AI sort of, so Titania and Shinon getting close enough was needed. And there's also a fact that Maijin is bulky enough where Titania by herself, even with a steel axe, cannot 1-round KO him, which is why we also brought Shinon over, as Shinon plus Titania should be more than enough to help whittle down Maijin. And Titania here can like easily 1-round everyone that she comes across, and she's not really using a hand axe here because of the fact that it would burn through so many uses, especially since we need that hand axe for later chapters, so that like are actually route, as we have like at least one that's going to be route before chapter 8. And Shinon had to be next to Titania so that he didn't get completely boxed in and surrounded by enemies. And here we give Soren a kill, as we are going to have to feed Soren levels, as Soren is going to be pretty vital. He also comes with the skill Adept where he can occasionally get another hit in, so there's times where he might be able to get 3, maybe even 4 hits in. But it's a bit RNG reliant, as it uses the skill stat as a % proc. And we also have Gatry here shoving Ike just so Ike can also get some experience, at least before we go ahead and kill the boss here. And Ike unfortunately has not attained Punage Incarnate quite yet, but Shinon here flexes his crit bonus for like no reason, even though he actually does not need to like crit at all to help kill Maijin, but he did it here anyways. And that just makes Titania's job a little bit easier as she finishes Maijin off with ease. And that will be chapter 4 cleared in 2 turns. And I will see you guys next time for our very first defend map in chapter 5.